All right, and with that out of the way, let's get on to main topic number 2. And the second main topic involves Uber and Lyft, because here's the thing. Depending on when you're watching this, if you're watching this live, Uber and Lyft might actually be shutting down tonight. They might be shutting down tonight. In fact, they've even been sending ominous messages to riders in California ahead of the possible shutdown. I actually got this message on my phone last night. It was like, hey, rideshare may go away in California. And of course, they use it as a, to threaten, like, we might have to take down the rideshare service because of a judge order. Please vote yes on Prop 22 this election. Uber is definitely going to be doing what they can to get people to vote on this. And Dara Khosrowshahi was on another podcast talking about a couple things. One, that they might be moving Uber to a franchise model, which that would definitely be interesting, and that they can't just go out and hire 50,000 people overnight. Of course, that ignores the fact that they knew this was potentially coming for years, and they should have had a plan B. And in fact, they probably do have a plan B. They are just, exercising their options to leave California just to show that they can do it. And of course, some people don't think that's a very good idea. Now, if you're watching this on the 20th as a replay, then guess what? They might actually already be shut down. And in that case, the question might arise for a lot of people who are not only drivers, but even riders. What do I do now if Uber and Lyft are not in California? Who's going to take those places? And interestingly, we have some competitors who are just waiting for them to leave, or they are prepared to pounce, if you will. Interestingly, Trip is not one of those people. But let's go down and let's look at some. By the way, for those who want to know, this is what the warning looked like. This is what I got last night. This is probably what a lot of you are going to get. But let's look at some of the companies that are preparing to swoop in and take your money if Uber and Lyft decide to actually cut the cord, or pull the plug, I should say, on California. And there's at least 2 companies. The first one is Alto, a Texas-based rideshare service who had planned to expand to California by early 2021. CEO Will Coleman said Alto now hopes to be there no later than early November. So that one's going to take a little while, but Alto might be the first company to come to California if Uber and Lyft shall leave. Alto has had an employee-based driver model since its inception, lowering the regulatory hurdles it will have to jump to get set up in California. Coleman said the model allows Alto to better control the rider experience, which is especially important for cleaning procedures related to COVID-19. And he's quoted as saying, "The reality is that having W-2 workers is actually significantly more innovative than having contractors in the transportation space. Fundamentally, what we can control is actually the most important part of our business, which is supply. The challenge that Uber and Lyft have with independent contractors is that they have zero control over their supply," which, a lot of drivers might be looking at saying, well, I don't care about control. Again, this is one company. And of course, he highlights that, they're not going to be as quick as Uber and Lyft. In fact, they tell their customers, look, expect us there in 10 minutes no matter what. But that apparently they deliver on that promise 99% of the time. Now, another startup, and this one might sound familiar, is Arcade City. And for those of you who might remember if you're going like, man, Arcade City, that sounds familiar, it's because Arcade City was a rideshare company that when Uber and Lyft left Texas, one of the cities in Texas, they swooped in and filled that need. And it looks like, Austin. It looks like they are going to continue that. They were born out of a Facebook group, and their founder, Christopher David, said he's preparing to sign up drivers in California with a new app. The service doesn't yet collect fees from riders or drivers, but David said he anticipates making money down the road by offering services like credit card payment processing, to those who use the service. He also said he wouldn't shy away from using some of Uber and Lyft's early tactics to enter a new market if regulation doesn't keep up with new models of transportation. Well, regulation is catching up, and that's why Uber and Lyft are leaving. And he does say that Arcade City aims to value drivers more than he believes those businesses have demonstrated, which is the rideshare industry altogether. Now, there's another ride-hailing service called Wings that already operates in San Francisco and is working on converting its drivers to employees. CEO Christoph Baumbach sees it as an opportunity to discover if employment-based driving gives the company more control over its standards, especially with the new demands of COVID-19, which requires additional cleaning and protocols for drivers. As he says, all these things really point towards having more of a relationship, which is more of an employee-employer relationship. Because if you work in an independent contractor model, that's just a number of things that you're not supposed to do. Really clearly directing the driver of what to do or even providing PPE to be able to protect them is typically something you wouldn't be doing in an independent contractor relationship. Baumbach plans to use the San Francisco market as the first to test the employee model before possibly expanding it to cities in other states in which Wings operates even if they don't mandate employee classification. And then, of course, you have taxis. Now, a lot of Uber and Lyft drivers who are watching this, and I'm not looking at the comments bar now, but I fully anticipate a lot of them like, I don't want to be an employee. I want to stay an independent contractor. You know what? Hey, if that's what you want, then yeah, maybe these services are not for you. But here's the bottom line. You're gonna be an employee, or you're not gonna do this at this point. I mean, maybe 22 will pass, maybe Uber and Lyft will win in court, they certainly have before, but the courts have basically stated that what Uber and Lyft are doing amounts to you being an employee, and that's why they ruled against them. Now, Uber and Lyft, again, can actually make changes and keep you independent contractors. They don't want to do that. They want to keep controlling you while asserting that you are your own boss, and that's not how it works. At least that's not how it should work. And I know that for some people this works. Some people, they make a little bit of money, and this works out hunky-dory for them. But here's the reality of the situation as far as I see it. The situation is far worse in grander scale for more people. The vast majority of people do not benefit from this system. And this system is very predatory. In fact, it's interesting because when it was first announced that Uber and Lyft might be leaving California, some of my buddies, Dark Road Run, Uberman Tampa, Rideshare Trickster, and the Driver Sensei all had like a little 3-hour live stream where they discussed this. A very good discussion, by the way, and I even popped in for like a few minutes. And one of the things that Driver Sensei told me was when I said, this is really not something we should be encouraging. He's like, look, why do people do it? For the money. They say that, I can't do his voice very well, I'm just not as energetic. That would you do it for yourself? Maybe not. Would you do it so your wife doesn't starve? Well, maybe. Would you do it so your kids wouldn't starve? And that's why they do it. They're desperate. And my whole thing is you should never do something that is desperate. When people are desperate, they tend to make very bad deals and tend to get themselves in situations that they find really difficult to get out of later that might do them more harm in the long run than the short run. And if we acknowledge that there's something that's taking advantage of desperate people, we need to fix that. So even if a few people are okay with this, I think the system is rotten to the core. I think it has taken advantage of far more people than it has helped. I'm actually personally ashamed that I ever encouraged people to sign up for it. Granted, when they were signing up for it, it was good, and chances are most of those people got out of it after so many rides. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens when these companies come in. Who knows? Maybe the employee-employer model will work better for a lot of people. Who knows? I might even go back to it. You never know what's going to happen. But bottom line is, it'll be very interesting to see if Uber actually shuts down the service. I was considering doing like a live stream party tonight. That's kind of like, an Uber shutdown party. But I probably won't because I have something to do very early tomorrow morning and I shouldn't be staying up till midnight. Anyway, I would like to know what you think of this. Of course, people have strong opinions of it. As long as you flame responsibly, that's great. But leave them below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, as I said before, flame responsibly.